So welcome back. Let's move on. So number 11, develop compelling headlines and titles. With any type of writing which is going to be published online, you want to take the time to come up with compelling headlines. A good headline will attract your website's visitors' attention immediately, and this will entice them to read the entire article. When writing your headline or title, do not use all capital letters in it, and avoid using punctuation. If you place a full stop at the period of the end of your headline, you'll make the reader want to stop reading. By eliminating this punctuation, your reader is more likely to continue reading your full article. Now, great examples of great titles are titles that ask questions or to provoke opinions, how-to titles, step-by-step titles, and titles which stir feelings within your reader. When writing your content for online purposes, you want to try and include keywords in your titles. This will help boost your content within the search engines. Place yourself in the reader's shoes and think of how you would search for this particular information. Then try to include these terms in your titles, headlines, and subtitles. Number 12, short sentences work best for online content. When writing online content, you want to avoid long sentences. It's much better to write your content in short and concise sentences. This way you can offer your readers easy to understand information which is well thought out. In addition, keep your paragraphs fairly short. It's important to understand that when someone's reading an article, post, or they're on a website with content, they often scan the content first. This is why it's important to take the use and make the use of the subtitles and formatting techniques such as lists and bullet points. These things will catch the reader's eye, pulling them in and making them want to read more. Practice writing short sentences with no added fluff. If you find that your sentences are extremely long, work on adding commas into the sentence structure. Then read your sentence aloud. If your sentence still sounds and feels long-winded, then try splitting up into two shorter ones. Number 13. Use a friendly tone of voice when you're writing on your blog. Conversational friendly voices, tones, work best when writing online content. Use a passive voice in your writing. An example of this is, the graphic designer was hired by our company. Instead, we hired the graphic designer. When writing for your blog, write as though you're chatting with your best friend or a family member, someone that will know you well. When you write in this manner, your content becomes friendlier and adds that human touch. A common problem with the internet is that a website often blocks the human element. Sometimes a reader doesn't really know who has written the content, and this adds distance. By writing in a friendly manner, you are forming a relationship with your reader, and in turn they'll learn to know, like, and trust you, which is a big element within marketing. This is extremely important for connecting long-term readership for your blog. Number 14, write to attract attention. This follows on from our last writing tip, which covered writing in a friendly manner. With online content, it's much more important to understand that your website visitor is looking for something. This could be the answer to a particular question or information on a particular subject. In essence, they're looking for a solution to a problem. You need to provide them with a solution, and this solution must be evident quickly. Most website visitors can scan your page, and if they don't find what they're looking for, you know what they're going to do. They're going to find that little X on the top right corner, and they'll leave within under 10 seconds. This is why it's important to attract their attention immediately. This can be done by creating compelling headlines, using subheadlines and lists. If the visitor thinks that you may have the answer, they're more likely to stick around and read the rest of your content. Number 15. Include lists and step-by-step tutorials. When creating content, you can make your content easier to read and more attractive by making use of lists and step-by-step tutorials. This offers several benefits, including making your content more appealing to visitors. Instead of being faced with a long article, they immediately see that your content is short and easy to read. You can list main points and bullet points or numbers to make them stand out on your page. As we mentioned earlier, readers on the internet are in the habit of scanning content rather than reading every word in detail. So using short points can help them identify if your content is what they're looking for. Creating how-to and step-by-step tutorials, you are offering your readers a different type of content. And if your article is dealing with how to learn something, then consider writing it out in point or step form. Number 16, structure your content. Structuring your content includes taking time to think about the topic that you're writing about. You don't want to go rambling on and on about nothing in particular. Instead, come up with a specific idea or subject and discuss that on your blog. By talking about one thing at a time, you'll have the ability to write clear and concise articles. These will be informative posts that will engage your readers in a friendly manner. Let's see, what is there now? To do this effectively, I'd say, you should get into the habit of writing out main points of your article. Then go back and start explaining or discussing each one in a single paragraph. By the time you've filled in all of this information, all that's left is your closing paragraph. The last paragraph is normally a quick recap of what the reader just learned. Plus, it should include a little call to action. This could be a sign up to a newsletter or to receive a free gift, or it could be a purchase of a recommended product, something like that. 17, use clear language. One of the best mistakes that you can make, well, I wouldn't say best, the biggest, is when it comes to writing online content is to use fancy language. This can be a foreign concept to many writers, but believe me, your readers will appreciate clear and easy to understand language. Only use technical terminology when required, and obviously that people will understand on that certain subject. If you're writing a white paper for university graduates, then you will of course use different language as compared to writing for young adults. As well as not using fancy or technical jargon, you don't want to add fluff into your content. While adding descriptiveness in stories and fiction is good, it's not always appropriate for shorter pieces of content. If you're in the habit of writing colourful content, try going back and removing unnecessary words and expressions. Make a point of keeping each sentence clear and to the point. If you stray off topic, simply remove that section. Number 18, use summaries. A summary is basically a quick recap of what your article post is about. You are actually telling the reader that you've just told them. So a good summary consists of one good paragraph, and the summary can be used to describe your article well. Learning how to write a good summary is seriously important if you want to submit articles to article directories, for example. As you gain experience with crafting summaries, you will also be improving your copywriting skills, which is highly important as well, as we know. So when it's time to write a sales page, you will have an easier time of coming up with shorter sentences to reflect benefits and key points. If you condense your summary even further into 150 characters, this becomes the sentence that's displayed by the search engines when your website shows up on the results page on Google and things like that. Number 19, include images and graphics. There's one major difference to writing online content, that is the use of images. Graphics and photographs, obviously, things like that. Images can really help make your content visually appealing and entices the reader to actually stay on your site and read your content. When using images, try to use images that relate to what your article's about. Plus, with the increased popularity of social media sites, people love sharing images. This can help you get your content more views and more website traffic. Try to use images that people can pin to sites like Pinterest. Images and photographs help to break up long articles and make them appear shorter and easier to read. It's very easy to insert images into a document. Just use the featuring word, for example. Plus, you can then use the picture tools and add a border or colour or special effects to your images. Remember, an image helps draw the reader's eye to the page and compels them to continue reading. If you aren't in the habit of adding images, try using some in your next article. 20, make use of white space. And when I speak about copywriting and calls to actions and things, I always mention white space. When you write content that you wish to post on your website, it's important to take the visual appearance of one piece into consideration. You don't want to publish a long articles that's all text and very little else. Immediately, visitors kind of view this as boring and they'll click away without even bothering to read it. While you can publish long articles, you might want to make them look less boring by breaking them up piece by piece into smaller sections. One way to do this is to write smaller paragraphs. When you have more paragraphs, more white space appears on your site. This has the effect of making your article look smaller and easier to read. Including headings into the subtitles also goes a long way in helping to break up your content. The more manageable your content appears, the more readers you will attract. If your article is extremely long, and you may want to kind of consider breaking it down into 2 or 3 smaller posts and then link to each one at the end of this the end of the articles that you're going to be creating, or on your blog posts, ebooks, whatever. It's always good to make it available for people to kind of skip to the next one.